Howdy, all you delicious people. Today I'm doing a live stream talking about The Punisher Season 2 because I just finished watching it. If anything, if this isn't the best graphic wise, HD wise, if it's clickety problems, issues, whatever, I'm doing this live stream from YouTube and they just give you the top quality of the worst quality ever. Anyways, I had just gotten through of Punisher season 2. Yeah. So what I'm gonna try to do here is I'm gonna give people a spoiler version and then a non-spoiler version and then a spoiler version of this. So realistically, I'm gonna do a double five count and then start with spoilers. So I'm basically going to give people a generic variation of how this show went, and then I will give spoilers to people who had seen the show, giving a double dip the chip for people of different varieties of this. So, overall, how I felt about season 2. Yeah. That's how I felt about it. But season one, if people have not seen season one yet, definitely I would suggest going and checking it out. It really gives to light this character where season two ultimately uh gives death to this character, not literally speaking. This season is probably, if there were any bad seasons in any of the Marvel Netflix shows, this had to have topped every single one of them. This is good grief. This is supposed to be an action show that I have to question, where is the action? Good God! I thought Daredevil Season 3 was bad, but at least it gave you something. In this show, what did it give you? It gave you a man in a mask. Oh no, boo-hoo, I'm scared of that man. No, he's crying the whole time. He's crying. Villains are crying in this show. They must have had a bad life, the villains in the show. Feel sad for them. Feel sympathetic. Oh, boo-hoo, cry for them, Argentina. Man, this show, ideally, the pilot of this season starts off very strong, and it's very, yeah. But then it overall, in this entire season, feels like the Bourne Legacy. The guy who played Hawkeye on Avengers, um, when he was in that Bourne Legacy film, like that's what it feels like that this season was to me. The movie Bourne Legacy, where it starts off like kind of interesting, you're fascinated, but then after that it's just boardroom, 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 boardroom. Hey, let's have another boardroom. Look, come on, guys, let's talk this out. Let's see what we can do for Jason Bourne or the whatever the heck that one code name thing was that they kept mentioning all the time. Whatever that code word thing that they were doing. It was like Stonebridge or Drawbridge or whatever the heck that they were saying. Something bridge. I don't remember what it was. It was so freaking long ago, and no one cares about that. Um, uh, Bridgestone, I think. I don't know. I don't. That was a stupid movie. But anyways, that kind of is the blueprint of how this season went. If anything, there's so much dialogue in this compared to action, to the point of utter hilarity. And everything seemed to be heavily, and I mean heavily choreographed, to the point of utter hilarity where you knew that something was going to go down because it just had that feel of like, oh, okay, like this person, like, you know how in like karate movies where where the where the good guy enters into the building and he's all in his like good old karate suit and full on karate suit head to toe, and then he goes and he beats all the minions. Then when he gets to the big boss fight, he has to like rip off his shirt or whatever, so you can see his stomach, and he's shirtless now, and to fight the big boss. That kind of feels like how this whole season was, where it was just kind of like choreographically done, where it's like, oh, she's gonna be kicking some butt now. Oh, he's gonna be kicking some butts. Because I could tell because they're taking off a layer of clothing or something along those lines. It was like, oh my god, like this is so choreographed, and you could tell it's choreographed ridiculously enough. Good God, this show. The first season had so much promise, but I think they were looking at, oh well, Iron Fist got canceled. Oh, Luke Cage got canceled. Oh, Daredevil. God dang, that got canceled. Oh my god. What's going on? So basically, they were going into this season knowing they were going to get canceled. So realistically, they weren't gonna like go all out and make this like a banger season. No, it was just like, oh, okay, well let's go at this easy and we'll just talk it out. We'll have so much dialogue, nauseatingly dialogue that people are gonna be like, people are just gonna jump off at one point. I think I made it to episode 9 and I was just like, I don't want to finish this thing. I don't want to finish this garbage. But I stayed. I stayed 4 episodes in more to watch this. Ah. Ah. Feel my pain, people. Feel my pain. My pain of the show. Oh. If anything, I there's so many people that I completely forgot about from the first season that got re-involved into the second season, and I'm like, who are they again? Because I didn't care in the first season of who they were, and I can't care now. But they had so many side people again instead of the main character being so part of the story in this thing. It's like, good God, like, what is up with all of these things where somebody who is on the title of your show is not selling your show? It's like freaking Supernatural all over again when they had an entire episode devoted to the viewpoint of the car. Like the car has a personality now, and you're seeing an entire episode done from the viewpoint of the car. The car that evidently has a personality now and is not like any kind of kit or a robotic car of some kind that has its own artificial intelligence. It is just a car. But everything was shot from the viewpoint of the car for some freaking reason, and you lost so many good and interesting things because you were shooting an entire episode from the viewpoint of a freaking car. This show, this show. Oh boy. I feel I have to get into spoiler territory now because all the people that that who watched this who hadn't seen it and now are watching this could get the gist of what I'm saying about this show. But oh, the show, the show, the show, the show. Misery incarnate, the show was. Misery incarnate. I thought Daredevil Season 3 was bad. Ooh. 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 So let's go into this. Double 5 count for those of you who haven't seen this show. After this double 5 count, you will get spoiled. I will let unleash everything that I feel about this show and how it was, because it was the juicy. It was the delish. I thoroughly could not handle all the blood. The blood. There's so much blood to go around. Now is a spoiler version of this show, this episode. You were warned. You were warned. You were warned. Anyways, let's talk about these villains. Let's talk about the villains. The villains in the show were absolutely irrelevant to the entire story as a whole. Realistically, if Punisher could have just went and fought gangs this entire season, it probably would have done just as much effect of having them there as having a villain, a big boss in this show. Because realistically, I hated how much Billy had to be given his own boo-hoo story. Booty-hoo-hoo. I'm crying 'cause I'm a booty-hoo. 'Cause I can't remember my booty-hoo past. And I gotta wear a mask to hide my face. Man, did they set that up for that person to have a mask when he goes out and fight crime. They really set that one up. Yeah, you need to design your mask for a personality trait that you think that people should see you with a mask. Realistically, anybody that saw him past medical whatever realistically could have put the two and two together that Billy was this jigsaw looking character that was fighting or doing some crimes. Oh yeah, that's Billy because I remember the mask, yeah. I remember that weird, strange looking mask that he would always wear. Freaking goofy. And then they had the classic Harley Quinn round where they had the therapist who fell in love with her patient. That hasn't been done enough. Harley Quinn much? But then you find out that this Harley Quinn-esque therapist has her own dark and mysterious past with scars. God, how many more freaking side stories do we have to have on this show? I want a side story of the detectives. I want a side story about the therapist. I want side stories about the villains in this show. I want a side story about a side story. And good God, can we bring back Karen Page, who wasn't shown enough on Daredevil Season 3? She's gonna come in on this show and have a show. Man, this Karen Page is almost like the is to the point of almost being the Coulson of the Marvel Netflix series. She's gotta be in everything. Was she in Luke Cage? Was she in Jessica Jones? Was she in Iron Fist? I want to know. I want to know now. I have to rewatch these things all back so I can see if she was involved in any of those things. Maybe Jessica Jones. I don't know, but I don't care. Good God. Man, this show. If anything, like I said, the first episode is so good. It's good. It's so good. It's so delicious. And there is some sexual stuff in here for maybe someone to enjoy. The pilgrim getting a blowy, getting a blowjob. We get Punisher getting some sex in the pilot. Yeah, I guess. Hooray for that, I guess. Some sexuals. But it, God, to just go through this story after the first episode, it's just kind of like after the first episode, it kind of like it gets like to the point of like from episode 1 to episode 5, it gets decent. It's kind of a hill to climb on, but it's not that tough. But then after episode like 5 or 6, man, does it just it's like a roller coaster that you just have to just I gotta grin and bear this. I gotta bear down on it. There's so many side stories. They had a whole side story about this pilgrim villain that honestly, realistically, had absolutely nothing to do with the story. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all to do with the story but him just plop being there. Realistically. And then all of a sudden they had the thing at the end where he's like, "Don't hurt my sons. 'Cause I'm a pop, just like you were." Good God. We just had him there just for him to be a parent equal to Frank. Great. Awesome. Thumbs up. Not really. But if anything, there were parts about this show that were just like, we realistically, I don't even, like, even on the pilot. Yeah, even in the pilot, like, Punisher never gets into his. We never see full Punisher outfit until episode possibly 9 or 10 out of a 13 episode series. And pretty much with that, that is the only time we realistically will see the Punisher in full-on costume again. You could say all you want about the very last 10 seconds of the ending, but good God. If anybody would have invested so thoroughly into waiting for that costume to show up again, they picked the wrong show to do that in. Man. We get full-on costume in Daredevil season 2, in Punisher. We get it like seldom because he has to be in disguise a little bit. But in this show, it's just kind of like, it's like, well, he's not really the Punisher. He's just Frank. I don't care about Frank. I care about the Punisher. I thought this show was called The Punisher, not Frank Castle and his in his dealing with his side characters. God, and they had to put a little, like, supposedly a 17-year-old girl in this show. Um which obviously, with all of the stuff going on in this show, I'm sure she probably wasn't actually 17. She was probably more, probably the lines of maybe 20, is what I'm thinking. But this girl, oh man, like, realistically, this person, like, she's supposed to be, like, I don't know what she brings to the table. I don't know what this 17-year-old brings to the table. There, she maybe is supposed to be like the comic relief slash um trying to uh ground Punisher into a sense of purpose, or maybe even trying to hit him with some um brain knowledge of trying to figure out, like, that he shouldn't be willy-nilly um just going with his life, because realistically, like, he Punisher is trying to fight a war, um is really trying to focus on trying to get a war that he can't win, so that way he can finally die and see his family. And this girl comes in and is just like, well, maybe you should actually come up with a plan of attack to actually fight wars that you actually can win, instead of knowing that you can't win this war and you're going to do it anyways. Maybe you'll have much more of a purpose in your life. Blah, 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 blah. But realistically, Punisher in this season loves the fight. He enjoys the fight. And there's so many times you would get that while he's fighting. And even at the very end, where he's shooting the guns at people, he's like, that should end up just becoming a meme, where the Punisher is just like, through every, like, dialogue that he has with somebody, he should just be like, that would be freaking hilarious to just have the Frank, we're gonna die! Because realistically, like, who cares what anything Frank Castle says? All that matters is the All that matters is the Because that's how ridiculous any of this story goes. The time between the detective who's from Homeland Security or whatever, and the therapist, like, oh my god, all of this story was just like, I just wanted for everything that they'd say to just be like, wow, 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 because I didn't care. I did not care. I did not care what this story was going. I didn't care at all where that story was going, so it was pointless to listen to them. There are so many times when there would be so many side character things that I upped and left the room and made myself food and popcorn or whatever, food of some kind, and brought it back in. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't miss anything. There's so many times in this season where it felt like I could have sat down at any point in any episode past the pilot of this second season, and I was just like, oh, I didn't miss anything. Great. It didn't matter that I watched 13 episodes, even though I did. And after nine was just kind of like, can I just say I watched this? Go on here and realistically, like, just talk about it and say, hey guys, 9 episodes, good enough. Because that's realistically what I wanted to do. But realistically, like, I was just like, Well, I've already gone so far, so I might as well finish this road. But these villains in this thing, again, were utterly pointless. Basically, the way Billy dies is pointless. Here's the person that, like, that murdered supposedly Punisher's family. And he doesn't die in any kind of gruesome way at all. The way he dies is to pop pop to the chest. Punisher walks in, pop pop to the chest, and walks out. Good. That's how he dies in the least gruesome way possible. And the whole season, like, they're going, oh yeah, Billy doesn't remember what happened to the in whatever happened all in season one. Doesn't remember, but he still becomes this villain guy anyways. But still, he has to go up against the Punisher because Punisher's the only real true hero in town. And and Jigsaw, I guess we can call him, even though I would realistically just call him Billy. Jigsaw, he is utterly just like, oh, my friend, he's trying to pow pow me. How could he do that? How could you hurt me like that? And there's never, ever a realization that he comes into the pop pop of his head to, like, oh yeah, I did kill your family. Man, sorry. No, it's like, well, whatever I did, I am papa. What, however I did to just tick you off, papa. Frank, I love you, papa. How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that? This show! This show! But good God, there were so many choreographed things in here. Like all of a sudden, like when the girl was taking off her homeland coat, folding it up nicely, and putting it on the counter, and then talking to the therapist, you knew something was gonna go down. It was pretty obvious. Like how the whole decorating of the mask thing came up. Yeah, that wasn't like, yeah, you're gonna become a villain. You're gonna become a villain. Um, and the whole like, God, like the whole like the whole bathroom scene where, like, obviously you could already see when the group of people were coming in, and you could tell clearly that they were casing the place, and Punisher could sniff that out super easily because they stuck out like a sore thumb. And so immediately you're like, well, something's gonna go down. Punisher's gonna take these people out. And even when oh hey, my girl got sick in there, can I handle it? Like, oh no no man, I think she left. Oh no no. And then, well, bam. Like, there were some really cool action parts in that very first episode, like the whole slamming through the stall things and the smacking of the freaking sink and everything like that. That action scene was awesome. But then everything after that, there was realistically nothing exciting about any action scene at all. Like, realistically, the whole trying to make Punisher out to look like a villain, and then he'll just be like, "Oh man, I gotta be in prison forever because I killed these women and they were innocent." why all of a sudden were there women there? Out of all the times that we went into this group, and all the times that it was men, men, men from start to finish. But all of a sudden there's three women there, coincidentally. Wow. Wow, this show. And most of the women were in like the most scantiliest clothes that they could possibly have on. So it's like, okay, yeah. Well, since we're gonna be killed in this thing, can we have on like a thing showing off our body, so that way, at least when we die on here, like there'll be some promotion of how we looked while we died. Oh yeah, sure, yeah. However you want to look like. Uh but yeah, it just like it is an utter hilarity how like Punisher will always just like get out of these situations and get around all these like situations. And to the point of like wouldn't these people just like, oh yeah, we got the Punisher, great, send him on his way, go to jail. No. Everybody was just like, yeah, let's help that Punisher out. He doesn't deserve to go to jail. Let's help this guy out. I'm like, no, send him off to jail. Go, go, go. He is making a war zone of this city. We need to get rid of this guy as quickly as humanly possible. Speaking of Warzone, considering this was a adaptation, we could say, of the Punisher movie, Punisher Warzone. Between the movie Punisher Warzone and this Punisher Season 2, which one would I find better? I wonder which one that will be. If anything, between the two, Punisher Season 2, it was much more tame. Punisher Warzone was much more gruesome. But is that really a bad thing? um, Ideally, which movie is much more, or which, between show and between movie, which one is more action packed, really pushes a story, and has secondary characters that you can care about throughout this thing? Which one? I think I've made this blatantly obvious at this point. The movie Punisher Warzone. Go ahead and check it out wherever Blu-ray and DVDs sell in stores. The movie Punisher Warzone is so much more exciting and so much more worth it to see than this adaptation that is taken in Punisher Season 2. And I hate saying that. I really do. But I have to be honest. Because, man, there was never one time in Punisher Warzone, the movie, and I don't care if people like, well, yeah, well, the movie was shorter, the TV show longer, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't help but them, like, it seemed like there was a lot of filler. There was a lot of filler to this season. Realistically, if they could have skimmed it down to 8 episodes and given me more with that, I would have been happier with that than the filler that was given. But man, if they were trying to be very much action packed, like the Punisher Warzone movie was, man, did they fail miserably. Punisher Warzone was so much of an interesting movie. It had interesting deaths. Um, there was nothing about that felt like they were knowing that that movie wasn't going to go anywhere, or that people weren't going to um, enjoy it as much as the original Punisher film. If anything, I am now. Instead of promoting Punisher Season 2, I want people to pick up Punisher Warzone, the movie. Ideally, yes, it is much more gruesome than this show. But give it a go, people. Give it a go. It'll be so much more worth it than this season was. Yeah, really. Um, and like I said, every villain in the show was completely irrelevant. And so basically, there was a lot of side characters selling the show. Side char- Between the time that Punisher Season 1 came out and Punisher Season 2 came out. For example, when you had um, Daredevil is a perfect example. Realistically, when you had Daredevil from season 1 to season 3, and when in season 3 hit, they sold a lot of their side characters, more so than Daredevil himself. The thing with that is, each one of the side characters were very well established. You had Kingpin, who had his own side thing going on, which is like, okay, I'm interested in this. Okay, cool. Karen Page basically took up the bulk of what Daredevil season 3 was, and you're just like, okay, she's doing a ton of scenes that are absolutely irrelevant, but I can see where this character is going from what her past was. In Foggy or Froggy Nelson, the Nelson of Nelson and Murdoch, Froggy. I keep calling him Foggy, but it's Froggy, I guess. Excuse me. Evidently, Froggy had some side stuff going on in season 3, which were. Again, this person was very established. They did flashbacks showing the history between Matt and Nelson, and really brought home, um, like when Matt told, um, told Nelson Froggy, who he was. It was like, oh, okay, so if we ever see scenes with Froggy, he's already well established. Even though there was sometimes when he would have uh, stories with his girlfriend in season 3, I was just like, how is this relevant to the story? Realistically, he should be everything that he has a scene with. He should be talking about Matt about this, or he should be talking about Karen about this. Like they should be having a beer together, and like him and Karen should be having a beer together, and like talking it out about how he feels. But instead, we have to bring in this irrelevant woman and have her put in camera time, and it honestly has no effect of this story. Spoiler for people who haven't seen Daredevil season 3, but it's been out for a while now. Um, but like, I didn't overly spoil it. I probably should right now. Punisher is not in Daredevil season 3. Good God! If you watch this whole season for this one, and then you watch Daredevil season 3, Ah! Slap yourself. The misery, the misery. Man, if somebody like just watched Daredevil season 3 and then sat through this, they would be like just like crushed. Just crushed. Just crushed. Ah, because I didn't like either one of Daredevil season 3 and this. What? Good God. I could taste the cancellation on this on Punisher season 2. I could taste it. I could taste it. And it tasted bitter. It tasted bittersweet at the end of Daredevil, but this one just all the bitter. 100% bitter. But yeah, like realistically they had side characters um carrying the show, and the side characters weren't established. I didn't know who these people were. I didn't know. I didn't remember who these people were. When you had people in Daredevil season 3, when they were carrying the show, they were established. God. I would have been like, when you look at every single show out there, you do not have side characters carrying a show until they're established on the show. That should honestly be a no-brainer. That should be a no-brainer. If you look at any ensemble show, you never have side characters who aren't established carrying the show. If you look at Smallville, if you look at so many other shows that are either superhero-like or non-superhero-like. In Arrow season 1, was Diggle carrying the show? Was Arrow's mother carrying the show? Was Arrow's sister carrying the show? No! Because they had to be established. Was Arrow's sister's father carrying the show? No! It was all about Arrow's agenda of coming after all these bad guys who were on his list. And he was checking it twice, trying to find out which villain to put an arrow through. He was selling his show. And it took seasons later for them to establish, okay, his sister is now Red Arrow, and and this guy is Arsenal, and this they have a Batcave where they have all these costumes, and now Arrow doesn't have to sell this show. Arrow could go away, and it'll be some other Arrow that is in the costume. Jesus. God, that is the one crux that I have about this. Is they were going out because they had to know that this show was going to get canceled. So realistically, I'm assuming what happened was, like in Daredevil season 3, they knew that this was going to get canceled. So the person that they had to pay the most was getting the least amount of screen time. So that was justifying, it's like, hey guy, I know we're going to have to pay you the most in this season, but we're not going to have you on the show very much, so we can pay you less, because the show is going to get canceled. Just letting you know, buddy, just letting you know. Because somebody had to have looked at this and could have seen the writing on the wall that these shows were going to get canceled. When the main character on the show is not selling the show. The first season of Daredevil Daredevil had so much screen time, more so than anybody else. Season 2, yeah, Punisher or Daredevil, yes, he did have to share screen time with the Punisher. But realistically, out of this whole thing, Daredevil was still getting top billing. In season 3, who was selling that show? Obviously, it wasn't Daredevil. Obviously. Obviously, Daredevil's like, I'm in my trailer. See you later. How much money am I getting for season 3? Probably not as much as season 2 and season 1, but I'm counting my checks. See you later, bye. I can't wait for Jessica Jones. I'm so anticipating of how much of a bomb Jessica Jones is going to be. Because I think supposedly I've heard word that they're working on a new season for that. And absolutely nobody is going to be interested in that at all. Because they know it's going to bomb. Everyone knows now it's going to bomb. Punisher is going to get canceled. What do you think is going to happen with Jessica Jones? Spoiler alert, it's going to get canceled. So it's going to be a bomb of a show. It is going to be a bombity bomb, an abomination of a show. These shows started out really good. Every single one of them started out really good. But then supposedly Disney and Marvel slash or Disney slash Marvel and Netflix got to the point where like they didn't like how maybe one another or one side was treating the other, so it's just like cancel the show. Like I know you're getting ready for the Disney streaming service. So like realistically um you're trying to get every nook and cranny and quarter and penny you could get out of this Netflix series until you have your own streaming service. And then you could just, oh yeah, then you can just do whatever you want. Realistically, I'm sorry if I didn't thoroughly go over Punisher season 2 because realistically there's not a whole lot to talk about. There's not a whole lot going on in this season, honestly. There's not a lot going on in this season. There were some glimpses of good episodes. Out of 13 seasons, maybe 3 episodes were good. Maybe 3 possible episodes had something that got my attention. But realistically, everything was snuffed out because of so many side characters having to carry this story to utter hilariousness. It was if realistically Punisher was just had to come in there to grunt, huh, and leave. Like the whole point when they had Punisher in this big huge fight scene with Billy and his gang. They did the flashing light thing. Here's where this could have had a big huge fight scene with Punisher against this a big gang of Billies. And you ruined it. You ruined it. Where Daredevil had this fight scene that was consistently just seemed like it was like a whole hour of one fight scene and it was one continuous shot. They couldn't do that on Punisher. They had to do these clickety clickety black and white light things where you could see Punisher face go, ah, oh, yeah, ooh, oh. and somebody coming in and maybe cutting Punisher, or somebody coming in, and but it was in the oh ooh, yeah, mask showing, Punisher face showing, God, what a waste. That, realistically, if they would have showed that whole big fight scene, that would have probably made up for everything else. But that, honestly, that fight scene that was supposed to be this big thing turned out to be the last nail in the coffin for me, honestly. After I saw that, I'm like, wow, just a lot of effort put into this show. A lot of time, a lot of effort put into this show. Wow. I could only like rethink of the pilot of this whole show, because that was the best part of this whole show was the pilot. The pilot was good. Anything after that is suffocatingly garbage that I was miserable with watching, because I ultimately had it in my brain, the show's gonna get canceled, the show's gonna get canceled, it's gonna bomb like the worst it's probably ever bombed in the bombedy bomb life. But I'm like, how in the levels of it going to bomb? How are they gonna push story? How are they gonna push story? And they realistically didn't push story. Like, realistically, if they probably figured that they were gonna bomb, they honestly should have killed Punisher at the end of the show. That's what they should have done. They should have killed Punisher, and then kind of um they gave you a glimpse of him like seeing his wife and kids, but then he's on the ambulance thing and they're pumping him, and they're trying to bring him back to life and pumping him, like, oh, hopefully he gets out of this. And then that's how they end the show. That's how they should have ended the show, because realistically, either way people would have been fine with that, because they'd be like, oh, okay, well, Punisher's dead, or like Punisher is um there's a possibility that Punisher could still come back and not get canceled. God, this show was doomed. It was doomed from the start, and like I said, I had to find the level of which like I could tolerate it. And I can't wait for Jessica Jones and its bombity bomb goodness. Because I think everybody now is just like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing. That's where we're going. So, like, why should I invest in this? The everybody sees a pattern now. Oh, Iron Fist season 2 wasn't that good. Luke Cage wasn't that good. Daredevil season 3 wasn't that good. What is Punisher gonna be like? I wonder. What is Jessica Jones, if she ends up getting another season, gonna go? I am not anticipating another season of Jessica Jones. It was hard for me to get invested in that show, and I watched it kind of casually. Knowing how this is gonna go, I probably will have no casual qualms about it at all. I'll just be like, no, it's gonna bomb. This is gonna be awful. Now I have to have the misery of trying to watch this just to possibly just review it. But yeah, I can't say enough on how bad this was and how I'd rather promote other things besides it of this show. Because, man, villains had a point in other things. I think they honestly wanted to bomb these shows so bad, so in comparison, like, you would want to go back and watch the Marvel movies of old, the Ben Affleck film, the Punisher Warzone film, and so on and so forth, because realistically, oh, okay, well, hey, now I can go back and watch that and think in my mind that this is better than whatever adaptation that we ended up getting. So instead of going and watching Daredevil season 3, watch the the kind of good Ben Affleck movie instead of watching Punisher season 2. Instead, see Punisher Warzone. Because at least you'll get something out of that rather than this. But I guess I'm going to get out of here because I've almost talked for an hour about how bad this show was. Um, but yeah, this show. This show. God, this show. But I'm going to go because of this show. But see you guys later. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. I hope to maybe do possibly some other live stream stuff today. Just kind of do 2 videos or something out.